video, we're going to be solving equations that are in factored form. So it's called factored form because if we look at example A, it's already factored out. Instead of being written as 5p squared minus 10p equals 0, they've pulled out the 5p, which is the greatest common factor, to make this a little bit simpler to solve. So we're going to use the zero product property, which allows us to take our pieces and set them each equal to 0. So we're going to take that 5p and we're going to set it equal to 0. And then we're going to take the p minus 2 and set it equal to 0 because it's its own piece as well. So when we do that, now we're going to get the zeros or the p's by itself. So here we'll divide both sides by 5. It gives p equals 0. Here we'll add 2 to both sides and get p equals 2. So we have two solutions, and now we just need to check them to see if they work. So to check them, we're going to plug them back into our equation. So everywhere there was a p, we're going to put a parenthesis. And we want to know, does that still equal 0? And we have two answers, and so we're going to have to check it 2 times because we have to check each answer. So again, I'm leaving spaces where my p's go. So my first p is a 0, so I'm going to plug in a 0. And 5 times 0 is 0, and 0 times anything is 0. So I have 0, and does that equal what we wanted it to equal? It sure does. So that tells us that p equals 0 is a solution. Now we're going to plug in our 2. So we're going to plug in our 2, and 5 times 2 is 10, and 2 minus 2 is 0, and so we have 10 times 0, which is 0. And that equals what we wanted it to equal, which tells us that p equals 2 is also a solution. For letter B, we have c minus 2 times c plus 1 equals 0. So this is also in factored form. So we're going to take the c minus 2, and we're going to set it equal to 0. And we're going to take the c plus 1 and set it equal to 0, and then we're going to solve. So here we'll add 2 to both sides and get c equals 2. Here we'll subtract 1 from both sides and get c equals negative 1. And now we just need to check to see, does that work? So let's go ahead and scoot over and give ourselves a little bit more room to check. So we're going to check these. We're going to check 2. So remember, everywhere we see a c, we need to have a parenthesis to plug our number in. So again, we want to know, does it equal 0 still? So again, everywhere where there's going to be a c, we leave a parenthesis. So we're going to start off by plugging in our 2. So 2 and 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. 2 plus 1 is 3. And 0 times 3 is 0. And that equals what we wanted it to equal. That's awesome. So c equals 2 is the solution. Now we're going to check our negative 1. And we have negative 1 plus, or minus 2 is a negative 3. And negative 1 plus 1 is 0. And negative 3 plus times 0 is 0. And when we check that, it's what we wanted it to equal. So c also can equal negative 1. This last problem is just like those. I want you to try this one on your own. So go ahead and push pause, work out the problem, and when you're done, push play, and let's see if you are right. So here we have 2b minus 6 times 3b plus 18 equals 0. And this is already in factored form because we can't pull anything else out. Well, we probably could. Let's go ahead and let's solve it from here. And I think we'll get a little bit deeper on one of our next videos. So here we have 2b minus 6 equals 0. And we have 3b plus 18 equals 0. So first, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So I have 2b equals 6. And I'm going to divide both sides by 2 and get b equals 3. On this one, I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides so that I have 3 b equals negative 18. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3 and get b equals negative 6. So we have two answers that we need to check. So we're going to check to see if b equals 3 will work. And we're also going to need to check to see, we're going to do it over here, if b equals a negative 6. Now remember, everywhere we see a b, we need to put a parenthesis. So we're going to have 2 times b minus 6 times 3 times b plus 18. And we want to know, does that equal 0? And then we're going to have to check our other answer. So again, remember that everywhere we would have a b, we need to put a parenthesis. So 3 times 18. We want to know, does that equal 0? So we're going to start off by plugging in our 3. So plug in our 3. And 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 minus 6 is 0. And 3 times 3 is 9 plus 18, which is 27. So 0 times 27, which is 0. And that equals the 0 we need it to. So b does equal 3. That answer works. Now we're going to check negative 6. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. And negative 12 minus 6 is negative 18. Then 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. And negative 18 plus 18 is 0. And so we're going to have negative 18 times 0, which is 0. You can also plug that into your calculator as well and see that you get a 0, which is what we need it to equal. So we know that b equals negative 6 is also a solution. And so that's how you can solve an equation when it is in factored form.